Uncle Robert, are you still involved with the Social Democratic Party? No, the Nazi Party banned the Social Democratic Party last year, and a number of its leaders were jailed. The rest are now living in Prague. Uncle Robert, given what happened to the Social Democrats, do you think it's a good idea to stay involved with the Socialist Workers' Party? Gustav, I can't sit back and do nothing. The Jews are suffering, the workers are suffering. We must make the rest of the world see how dangerous Hitler is. Gustav always liked his uncle, but he was a little surprised at his uncle's forceful position against the Nazis. He was generally mild-mannered and rarely challenged anyone. That was particularly the case with his ex-wife, who generally controlled Robert's relationship with his daughter. But Robert was committed to the party and didn't seem to appreciate how dangerous his involvement was. Uncle Robert, you understand these are dangerous times for anyone challenging the Nazi Party, particularly for Jews challenging the Nazi Party. Please be careful. Gustav, don't worry. I'm always careful. But I have to do something. Uncle Robert, for as long as I've known you, you have always been involved in political parties. Why? Robert took a slow sip of his coffee and said, Gustav, believe it or not, no one in the family has ever asked me that question. My brothers always thought it was a folly of mine, and my ex-wife always thought it would get me into trouble. But no one asked me why I do this, why I attend rallies and put together pamphlets. My answer to you is that I have always believed we could all live a better life, and no one person should be denied that better life. If we don't work to make that happen, it will never happen. Gustav smiled at his uncle and said, Uncle Robert, it sounds like you have hope. His uncle gave his nephew a quizzical look, and so Gustav continued. I was recently at services with my stepfather, and the rabbi was speaking about hope. As you can imagine, many in the congregation are worried about what the Nazis are doing to the Jews. The rabbi said, we must not sink into despair, but must remain hopeful. He spoke about how Jews were once slaves in Egypt, but remained hopeful and were ultimately freed. He also said, there is no word in the Hebrew language for hopeless. The Jewish response to trouble has always been tikva, the Hebrew word for hope, and that must continue. Robert nodded his head and said, That's good the rabbi has encouraged the congregation to have hope that things will get better. But things can't get better just by hoping they will. I'm actually doing something. Gustav nodded and said, I'm glad you are. His uncle rose from his seat, shook his nephew's hand, and said, Gustav, please don't mind my ramblings, but I do need to get to the office. Thanks again for the favor. After his uncle left, Gustav thought again about what his uncle had said, about not just having hope, but also doing something. He knew he had dreams about what he wanted to do with his life. Open a dressmaking store, selling fashionable clothing, eventually marrying and having a family. He understood it was not just a dream, but also a hope. And a hope because of the current climate, where Jews were finding it harder and harder to be in Germany. While his uncle wasn't religious, Gustav was struck by the fact that his uncle was actually engaging in the important Jewish tradition of Tikkun Olam, healing a broken world. Joining a political party was not anything Gustav ever wanted to do, but he was wondering whether he would need to do something more than just hope.